Good morning. I am Adrienne Summerlot, your children's ministry coordinator, and I just wanted to say hello. It's been a while since I've gotten to see you in person. And as you might notice this morning, things are set up a little differently. I promise you will not have to crick your neck a whole bunch to see us. We're going to kind of move around, and there's actually not going to be a lot of talking as much as you might be used to in a sermon or homily, because this is an all ages service. And it's a chance for us to worship a little differently in a more experiential way. And so I hope everybody will welcome and lean into that. There is childcare available in our Earth Room with our caregivers if you feel more comfortable there. But kids, I ask you to trust me. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to move and participate. Whoever you love, however you choose to express yourself in the world, whatever you believe, you are welcome here. You are able to show up just as you are, whether that's messy or put together, happy or sad. You are exactly where you need to be for the next hour today. And I hope you feel that. Opening words come from Erica Hewitt, bold and courageous together. The word courage comes from the Latin cor, which means heart. According to poet Mark Nepo, the original use of the word courage meant to stand by one's core, a striking concept that reinforces the belief found in almost all traditions that living from the center is what enables us to face whatever life has to offer.
To encourage means to hearten, to impact strength and confidence. This is our work as a religious community, to encourage one another, to be bold in engaging the world around us, as well as that what scares us internally, to give one another the confidence and heart to live as fully as possible. And we invite you to say the next words with us. With full hearts, we affirm our relationships with one another. We recognize our agency and our connective power, and we accept our responsibility to be bold and courageous.
Would you like to open the Wonderbox? You can pull out one thing in there. Oh, Skye, haven't you been looking for that?
Yes. Yes, I have. It's my journal. Luca, can you hold that up? Oh, my journal. This is the thing that I go to when I am feeling pretty much any kind of way. Anxious, fearful, sad, angry, and even happy. This is one of my favorite things because it gives me a place to write down all of my words and emotions. And as soon as I write them, it's like they're lifted and I feel better.
Well, I'm glad you opened that and found that for Skye, because I've been wondering where these have gone. And these are some of my favorite things. I actually got this little satchel when I was with some of my colleagues who do the same work I do in churches in Denver, like before the pandemic, like years and years ago. Some of you weren't even born yet. And then at a retreat with some of my other colleagues, I made this little set of beads. And a lot of different traditions have beads that they use for prayers and stuff. They're kind of like the original fidget. And mine have color for each of the promises that we have, or principles as Unitarian Universalists. And there's a heart. And I wonder, can you read what that word says? It says, be brave. How funny, because we were talking about that just a moment ago. And so I hold these when I'm feeling alone in my work, when I'm stressed or overwhelmed or nervous. And you know how important they are to me? They actually go in my work bag, and that's where they live usually. So I'm really surprised they ended up in the Wonderbox, because I'm I'm not always good about putting everything away, but this is one of those things because it's so important to me. I always know where it is. So I wonder if any of you brought items today, adults and kids, and we want to give you a moment, whether you brought an item or not, to show and share, maybe with someone you didn't come to church with today, your item. So it's your turn. What is something that makes you happy when you're feeling sad, that reminds you of a special person, or brings you comfort when you're nervous, scared, or worried? So we're going to let you turn and talk to each other. But when you hear my favorite things and our wonderful Leslie singing that and appearing on the screen, we invite you to come back to worship mode, okay? So go forth and share with one another. So now for joys and sorrows. This is an important ritual that we do in our congregation, and it allows us to hold space for one another. And so when we do that, we are allowing to see and hear and know really big feelings that any of us might be facing at that time, whether they're spoken aloud or they're just by lighting a candle. So we will have our candles that you may want to light as a joy or a sorrow for something going on in your life. Some joys and sorrows are really big and you need support from your friends, and some of them you carry with you your whole life. Births and losses, big changes and chapters of your life, and some we carry around with us, and we maybe would be better if we let it go. So this week, we also have another opportunity for you, which is to write a sorrow that you may want to let go on this paper. And I have news, it's magic paper. And when you let it go into this bowl and you give it a little swoosh, poof, it's gone. And I want you to sit with how that feels. Because one of the things in us talking about feelings today is there's not good feelings or bad feelings, but there might be feelings or emotions that are comfortable or uncomfortable. And you might notice that in your body, and that is okay. So I invite folks to come forward to light candles for joys or sorrows, and or to let them go. And if you have a joy or sorrow you'd like to say out loud, maybe come over here by Anita and we can say those towards the end, okay? What we're going to hope is that you get a chance to explore around the room, and Skye and I are going to tell you about a few of the invitations that you have around the room. We're going to have a good chunk of time to move as you would like around the room. If you cannot make your way around the room, please signal Skye or I. We will help bring things to you because we don't want anybody to not be able to participate if they have mobility issues. We want everybody to be included. So Skye, you want to tell them about our first invitations?
Yes. Oh, good. This works. So back here by the doors is one of our first areas called Map the Heart. So we encourage you to take this back to your seat. There are hearts with clipboards and plenty of colored pencils. So this is a place for you to think about what fills your heart. So people, places, experiences, furry family members, things you love. So this is what makes you happy and heartful. And then next to this is Nixie's favorite station. These are tools for stress and worry. So here's the little anger guy from Inside Out. All right, so you are welcome to pick up a heart to carry in your pocket and remind you of the love that is held for you here at UUCCI by all of these people. So these are some different textures. There are squishy stress balls for when you're feeling stressed. There are little stones, worry stones for feeling anxious. And then there's also wooden and felt hearts if you like those textures a little bit better.
And just note the little stone hearts are kind of tiny. So anybody who might put those in their mouth might want to choose the felt one or the wood one because they're a little bigger.
Good point.
We want to keep people safe. Then there's affirmations. So I've recently discovered an artist named Kate Allen, and she has these lovely Therapets. And so you can choose one from over at this table. When we have negative talk and self-doubt, those really bad ideas about ourselves can creep in. So you can choose a card that speaks to you. There's also a basket. If you're someone who just wants to draw at random and see, you can do that too. And if you're feeling really bold and courageous today, there's a mirror and you can look yourself in the mirror. And for example, mine says, your struggle is not an indication of failure. How many times might I need to say that to myself? So you do have the opportunity to take these home with you. Put them somewhere you'll see them and say that to yourself often. The other thing is this is a community of care. So with our community of care, those hearts that were on your chairs, I'm going to encourage you to write words of encouragement or affirmations that you think people here at UUCCI might need to hear. So don't address it to anybody because these might just show up next week and you might find a heart that speaks to you from people here because that means something different than the card and the beautiful image you might find. And last but not least, we have open wounds. We have some are gaping and still new. And some of them are deep below the surface and scars. And so we have a little Band-Aid communion over here, and you might find words written on them like trust or self-love. There might be Wonder Woman. I don't know who could have put that there. Or there might be blank ones because you know exactly what you need and should be able to write your own word. There's also ones of different skin shades because representation matters. And I can remember the very first time one of my friends of color had a Band-Aid that matched their skin and how healing that was for them to have. So does it sound like fun? It's a fun way to explore our feelings. Okay. So you're going to have longer than you did before. We're going to take turns and let people explore around. There's going to be some background music. And when you hear Teach Your Children Well with Sandra Bolte, or see me back up here going like this, we're going to invite you to come back into worship mode again. Okay? Go forth and explore your feelings. If you've been around and coming to RE, speaking of teaching our children well, we've been so fortunate to have Anita and Nanes working with our children regularly, teaching them words, music, and movement from universal dances of peace. And today they have a moving meditation that they've been learning to share with you. Anita's going to tell you a little bit about it, and you're welcome to join in.
All right. In your mind's eye, visualize two beautiful women walking on the Ute Reservation at Four Corners in Colorado. One is this beautiful blonde with her hair blowing in the wind, and the other one is her very close friend, a Ute medicine woman. And they're talking, and the woman with the blonde hair said, you know, one of the things that I really cherished when I used to go to church was every Sunday we would turn and say to each other, peace be with you, peace be with you. And that song has been going through my head, but I just can't get it all together. And her friend goes, let's collaborate. I will share some of my words, we'll share some of your words, and together we will create this song. So in many Indigenous and First Nations, instead of shaking hands like this, which means I'm going to check you for weapons. They shake hands like this, wrist to wrist, heart to heart. And so in our dance, when we shake hands, we will do it like that.
Peace be with you. Thank you to Anita and adults and our children. Some of those songs and movements are things your kids and you as adult volunteers might experience if you come to Peace Camp this summer. So just a little plug for Interfaith Peace Camp, if that's something that speaks to your soul and maybe fills your spirit a little bit.
The vines on my front porch make shadow puppets in the streetlight, leaning in with pinky swears and giggles. They are not afraid to touch each other. Today, I want to be the moonflower, wearing my heart upon every leaf, taking up space. And when it's time, my soul opens with purity and possibility, catching heaven and offering it to the hungry. Thank you for joining us today.